Link, you are the light. Our light. That must shine upon Hyrule once again. Now go.
Breath of the Wild is the latest title in the Legend of Zelda franchise, notably being the latest 3D Zelda since The Legend of Garbage. As a matter of fact, Breath of the Wild's goals and ambitions were a direct result of Skyward Sword and its shortcomings. Skyward Sword was when the Zelda formula started to stagnate. It didn't feel fresh or exciting the same way past Zeldas had been. It was pretty boring, and ended up being very handholdy too. After Nintendo realized how horribly unoriginal it was to rehash the formula for basically 5 titles in a row, they pursued making Breath of the Wild as different as possible. To remove simple conventions of the series while retaining the universal traits that make a Zelda game iconically a Zelda game. To say Breath of the Wild accomplished this is an absolute understatement. This game is completely nothing like any Zelda so far, and yet it carries the same atmosphere of adventure and exploration that causes such high praise for the past games. I've encountered a few people who cringed as they started up the game for the first time and realized that Link had a jump button. It was different and weird coming from a series that we've always known to be grounded and defined in exactly what to expect from the mechanics, conventions, and gameplay. Everything done differently in Breath of the Wild certainly feels unfamiliar and weird initially, but as you play more and more, the mechanics clearly become fresh, essential designs that enhance Breath of the Wild so much further than the Beetle from Skyward Sword improved that game. Zelda Breath of the Wild has many new conventions in place of the absent older conventions that have stuck through the times, but one that specifically sticks out to me is how they handled dungeons. Dungeons, called shrines in Breath of the Wild, are not like previous ones, where you traverse through a particular area riddled with various puzzles and treacherous enemies, leading to a boss at the end. Shrines are condensed, typically short challenges that can be compared to an individual puzzle found in a dungeon of a past Zelda game. The difference is that there are 120 of them, as opposed to a usual 8 larger dungeons. Shrines are everywhere for you to discover during your adventure. They're not located in a specific spot that you can only enter once you've reached that part of the game where you're supposed to play it. You can see a shrine on a mountaintop, or hidden behind a hill, and just drop whatever it was you were doing and go for it. You can go for that shrine's challenge whenever you want. You're in control of discovering the shrines wherever you may find them. Breath of the Wild makes it feel like it's your adventure, where you're the one exploring when you want to explore. Your goal for each shrine is to reach the ancient Sheikah monk within, who will reward you with a spirit orb, which are used to upgrade your health and stamina. Each shrine contains a challenge, typically requiring you to use your bow and sword, or one of your rune items, which includes bombs, a magnet for picking up metal objects, an ice block that can be created in water, and a stasis mechanic. You pick up these runes at the very beginning of the game during the prologue shrines, which teach you each individual rune's mechanic. After the prologue, a shrine can require any of the runes, or even a combination of them. It's certainly no big arsenal of items, but the 5 runes prove to be all you need to solve all of the shrine's puzzles and challenges. And their simplicity in design makes for using them both inside and outside the shrines in multiple ways that you might not even think of right away. The design of the shrines is also worth bringing up. They're consistently styled underground dungeons with the aesthetic of ancient technology and architecture. The walls and surrounding objects are often lined with lights glowing blue or orange in color. While some might consider it repetitive in appearance and design, they are simplistic and heavily separated from the above-ground world, which gives you the sense of discovering a secret cove with treasure hidden about. And with a majority of them containing unique puzzles and trials, the adventure is different with every shrine you enter. The only annoying thing about the shrine's design is the repetitive cutscenes for entering and exiting them, but at least you can skip those. Furthermore, some of the shrines are just a treasure chest reward for an outside puzzle that reveals that shrine, or it's a small guardian battle. There isn't anything wrong with either of them, but in my opinion, they occur far too often when they should be rarer in comparison to the normal puzzle shrines. Many of the overworld puzzles that give you reward shrines should just give you the reward too. They're nice every once in a while, but when it's just a lone hallway with a chest, it's kind of a big waste of time besides just giving you another spirit orb. The shrines are certainly not as grand as the dungeons of past Zeldas, but for Breath of the Wild, Nintendo decided to go with quantity over quality, except the shrines are also highly quality in the challenges they provide. each one feeling unique and special from the previous one you've discovered. They were definitely the right choice of dungeon design for Breath of the Wild. However, shrines are not the only thing. While shrines are a majority of the game's dungeons, there are also 4 Divine Beast dungeons, in which you enter each individual beast and it acts as a slightly larger dungeon. The Divine Beasts are creatures created by the ancient Sheikah. They act as protectors of the 4 tribes you can discover across the map. During the game, however, they have fallen under Calamity Ganon's influence, and it's up to Link to save them. The Divine Beasts are quite literally just larger shrine dungeons. They keep a consistent design with the shrines too, since they were also created by the Sheikah. It doesn't reach that full dungeon size that can compare to previous Zelda titles, but their size does feel nice when you look at them as expanded shrines. Furthermore, each one contains a very interesting mechanic where you can interact with the beast and adjust its shape using the map. You can rotate portions of the camel or raise and lower the elephant's trunk. Each interactive mechanic is essential to solving the beast dungeon, and it adds for a unique puzzle concept exclusive to the beasts. Unfortunately, each beast dungeon is rather handholdy. Not in a direct way, but in a text box reminder every 5 minutes sort of way. It is understandable for the first beast dungeon you encounter, but for the later dungeons you find, it shouldn't be necessary. I assume it's due to the lack of linearity in Breath of the Wild, allowing you to approach any of the 4 as your first dungeon. But Nintendo sadly didn't take the next step, and adjust the scenario depending on whether or not it was your first Divine Beast dungeon. It's a minimal issue, and besides that, the Divine Beasts are good, expanded shrine challenges that feel a little bit closer to the classic dungeon design while retaining the puzzle concepts found within the shrines. There's also a boss at the end of each one. Yeah, Nintendo didn't completely scrap that trope for Breath of the Wild. Now there's one final dungeon I've yet to mention. Castle actually. Hyrule Castle. Your final goal and last dungeon in the game. Hyrule Castle is the closest to, if not is, an actual Zelda dungeon. It has a clear linear path to the top of the castle, but contains multiple forks in the road, leading you to multiple pathways. Those extra paths will nab you some extra tools useful for fighting Calamity Ganon, and while it isn't necessary to explore these extra paths, they're there for you to explore if you're willing, and that exploration makes the castle come closer to being like a past dungeon, while retaining a sense of freedom to decide whether or not you just want to go straight to Ganon. To design Hyrule Castle like a typical Zelda dungeon was absolutely the most brilliant thing Nintendo ever could have done. Previous final castles or dungeons in Zelda games, while epic and daunting under the scenario of being the final dungeon, they don't really feel special or different from the previous dungeons you faced in the game. They're all just big ol' dungeons. The premise is epic because it's Hyrule Castle and you're going to fight Ganon, but if it's just another dungeon, then what about it is so special besides that premise? In Breath of the Wild, Hyrule Castle is the only big ol' dungeon. Nothing else in the game compares to it, because the shrines and Divine Beasts are so simplistic in their design and scale. They complement Hyrule Castle as the final trial. Exploring probably not even the entirety of the castle before even approaching Ganon took me almost 3 hours alone. None of the shrines or beast dungeons come even close to this amount of time to invest. It makes Hyrule Castle as a grand final dungeon appear all the grander. It becomes even more daunting, even more intimidating, even more epic as the last dungeon in the game. And it isn't just because of the fact that it is the last dungeon that Breath of the Wild accomplishes this. Shrines in Breath of the Wild are a nice new fresh take on dungeons in the series, going with quantity over quality while still keeping the quality. And they in turn complement the final dungeon, that has a design closer to dungeons of the past, making it even more of an epic final trek to fight Ganon. But hey, that's just my perspective.